Hey guys, Roy here with Radiant Clean. Today we are going to be doing a house wash here in FishHawk, Florida. We're also going to be doing sidewalk and driveway. You can see these are pretty dirty, so we're going to have them move their car. But it's a rather large sidewalk because it goes around the house. So I'm going to go around and do some property protection and cover up cameras and make sure the outlets are all covered, doorknobs are covered with tape, but the house, looks like there's some mildew and stuff up here. So do some before and afters of that. These soffits are dirty, so we'll need to make sure we get those. Some of that might be oxidation, but we'll see what we can get from that. I don't know if you guys can see with the sun in the way there, but those are pretty dirty. We got some dirt here. Some algae growing on the windows. Got some missing paint, so that I'll take some pictures of that, make sure they realize that's not from us. It's missing over there. And we got some mildew growing on the soffits back here. There's some rot up there we need to be careful of. Algae growing on the windows back here, so definitely could use a cleaning. So we're going to be downstreaming this today, and I'll show you what that setup looks like here in a minute. But you can see these windows have algae on them, and the sills are pretty dirty. There's some algae on there. Again, some paint damage. This is pretty dirty right here. Looks like we have some cracking in the stucco. Alright, so I'll do some property protection in a minute, but I'll show you how we're going to set this up today. Looks like there is some tape or something on here, but we do have a lot of algae growth on here. So, however, there's also a lot of paint damage on there, so we're going to need to be careful with that. We might need to hit that with our soft wash system. Anytime that you get that much algae buildup, sometimes it takes a little extra heat from the SH. Need to bump it up a little bit. All right, so today we're going to be doing downstreaming on this house. So what that is we use our pressure washing hose, but with a non-pressure setting. So we're not using high pressure. We're just using the 8 gallons per minute capacity to stream a lot of water down. So we'll be using this for the actual wash. We'll kick that on in a minute. Need to make sure it's set to downstream, SH. And then we have our Flow Pro on. That is controlled by a remote control, so I can set it to have chem or then to rinse, and that way I don't have to walk back to the truck to manually switch the switch. I can do that remotely, so I can put chemical down and then switch over to rinse after that's dwelled there long enough. That Flow Pro activates this motorized bypass over here. So when it's turned to chemical, it's pulling from the tank, and then when it is set to rinse, that changes the motor in there and it switches over to bypass, so it's just pulling water. Then at the end of the cleaning, we always switch it over to downstream and then rinse all the systems out to make sure we're getting all the sodium hypochlorite out of the system, so we're not corroding the hoses and engine and stuff like that. So I'm going to go through, do some property management, property protection, and then we will get started. So we'll be right back with you in a minute. Okay guys, got some of the property protection here. It wasn't much. We just always make sure like the ring doorbells and stuff like that are covered. That we cover any lock holes. Make sure that the outlets are covered. That way we don't get any intrusion with the SH. We don't want anything to get corroded or electrical stuff to get damaged, so we always cover that. I'm going to be starting up the system here. The water's been filling. We'll get the hoses pulled, get the SH running, and start to put down our first coat of SH on the back. And we'll go from there. So I'll be back with you in a minute. Alright guys, we're pulling the hoses to the back here. I always like to start in the back and work my way forward. Especially when it's a little bit dirtier up front. We'll put the first coat of this down over here. Let the chemicals start running. Usually takes just a few seconds on this system to get the SH going. Smell that, right? This might take a couple coats in some of these spots, so a lot of that looks like dirt and that mildew, so that's good. So we do have a decent amount of algae on the windows and stuff, so gotta get those mud daubers saturated. Make sure we get into the eaves. That way it's getting the bleach right in the face.
Oh, just a note that we generally will wash inside those lanai areas if the screens are open, but the owners didn't want to do that because it was full of kids' toys and they didn't feel like moving it and that kind of stuff. So usually we include that if it's an outside lanai type area, if we can get access, but in this case we didn't.
You can see that side's pretty dirty there. Got a lot of algae growth on it, probably because of this tree right here. So we might need to come hit that one again. Quit blowing there for a while. I'm hitting this again with SH because it's pretty dirty. I don't want it to dry on there, so I'm hitting it again just to keep it wet. Give that SH a little extra dwell time. That'll save me time in the long run. Alright, I switched it over to rinse. I'm going to let this dwell for a few more minutes. We'll rinse this back part off first because it's in the sun and I don't want it to dry on there. The reason we try not to let it dry on the house is it can oxidize the paint and spot the windows a little bit with that sodium hypochlorite, SH. So keep it wet so that way it doesn't do that. And then we'll rinse this off real good here in a minute. Dirt is just coming right off up here. I did have to climb up on the roof. You can see how much mildew's grown on that. The other section. Might go up and over. The roof's gonna need to be cleaned here too. I'll mention that to them. It's pretty dirty. Take a floor of that. Oop, don't want to do that. We don't usually have to climb on roofs for house washes, but this one was in a precarious kind of spot. I'm gonna hit parts of this front again just because it's so dirty. Keep it moist, keep it wet. Alright, I'm gonna start rinsing her off now, at least down here. We'll see, we may have to. I'm going to definitely have to hit this front with the soft wash system. Alright, I'm going to crank up the soft wash so we can get some of that really green stuff. Alright, I got that on about 3%. So it's going to take a minute to run through the hose. Then I'll put that on the bad spots and then finish rinsing off the top while that dwells, and then get that rinsed off. And then we'll start the driveway and sidewalks.
For those of you wondering, the reason we use the dedicated 12-volt system is because we have a mixer on the truck that allows us to get a much more intense amount of SH in the mix, so in bleach. So the normal soft wash system, which is downstreaming that we're using, is only about a 1.5 to 2% mix. We can up that to 3 to 6 or 7%, which normally we don't go that high, but we can go that high if we want for those really stubborn baked on kind of stains and algae and that kind of stuff. So In those cases, it saves us a lot of time. Just use a little bit stronger SH, and then make sure we rinse it off really well. But that's why. So we could have gone over it a couple more times with the normal downstreaming, which is the lower percentage. It just takes longer, so it's easier to hit it with that higher percentage of SH. You'll see some other people, they'll do it with a spray pump because they don't necessarily have the proportioner like we do on our truck. So they have to hit it manually with a spray pump or something like that. We are fortunate enough to have the dedicated 12-volt system that has the proportioner.
Bring up the soft wash hose and hit that up there. It's pretty stained. While I'm up here, might as well do it. All right, look at this real quick. Alright guys, just post-treated the driveway. You can see these dark stains here. Those will fade, so we'll come back and check on those in a minute, but I'm gonna go do this to the sidewalks now. Again, this gets rid of any of the staining on there. It's caused by tannins and mildew and mold and stuff like that. It also gets rid of the striping that when sidewalks and driveways are really dirty, it's really difficult to get that striping out of there because where the jets hit on the surface cleaner get a little bit cleaner than the rest of the spots, and so it causes some striping where it overlaps and stuff like that. And by post-treating it, it'll get rid of some of that because this gets into the pores and nooks and crannies and stuff and kills any of that residual algae and mildew and mold and stuff. How you doing? Alright, so we're going to keep post-treating this and then come back and do a walkthrough and show you how everything looks after we wash the house and as this dries a little bit. Alright guys, we're just finishing up on this house wash and driveway. It took a little while. It was pretty dirty. So you can see here we got all that algae off the windows, but you can see what happens is over time it does deteriorate the paint. So that's caused by the algae. But we got all the mold, algae, and mildew from up above here. That looks a lot better. There's still a little runoff from the soffits there from the roof getting wet because it is covered with algae as well. They're going to need a cleaning. But the driveway here is much better. Much better. And so are the sidewalks. These were all stained, so you can see where post-treatment got rid of a lot of that staining and any of the other marks. So this will continue to lighten as it dries. So we're just going to go around and collect our property protection stuff. So some of these bags and stuff like that. Tape. There isn't a lot around here. The house didn't really need it. You can see the leaves already blowing onto our clean driveway, but this had mildew all over the soffits, and it had it up on top as well, so I had to climb up there with the ladder. But these soffits were all dirty, and the drip edges were all dirty. There was algae on the windows, and I got that all taken care of. So you can see these drip edges are 1,000 times better. And the algae's all gone from the windows. So. These had algae on them as well. It's not going to always get all the spots from the algae off. You need a window cleaning for that. But it does get all the dirt and stuff. Alright guys. Another great cleaning here from Radiant Clean. This was in FishHawk in Florida. So if you have any questions about our services or the type of work we do or what products we're using, just let us know, or why we do certain things the way we do. Always happy to answer your questions. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, that helps us out a lot. Leaving comments also helps. So we'll catch you on the next wash. In the meantime, you have a great day. Bye.